Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a really interesting source. It gives this glimpse into a potential future, specifically around 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, this one comes from the Hypnovibes channel. It's a channeled session called Post-2026 Reality, Freedom and Light Structures.
Right, with hypnotist Naomi and the participant Navi channeling an energy named Tim.
Exactly. And our goal here is just to unpack what Tim describes, based only on this session. What might life look like then, according to him anyway?
Okay, let's get into it. So first off, how does this connection with Tim even work?
Well, the source mentions he communicates through some kind of device, and he's clear it's different from his travel device.
Okay. And right away, he recognizes the participant, Navi.
Yeah, says they've met before, but interestingly, in a different timeline.
Wow. Okay, so a past connection across timelines? Does he say anything more about that?
He does. He mentions that a version of Navi, the one in 2025, will meet him eventually.
So a future meeting is predicted too.
Mm-hmm. He calls it a nexus point that's getting closer, and he says he'll already know Navi's face when it happens, which should make things easier.
Fascinating. So what's Tim himself focused on in this future reality? Is he like a guide?
You might think so, but actually, no. The session says he's mainly busy with his gadgets.
Gadgets, like technology.
Seems like it. And he says pretty directly he's not really there to help others on their journeys. He's happiest dealing with his own world.
Huh. Okay, so not a universal helper figure then. What about movement? How do people get around in this post-2026 world Tim describes?
This is really interesting. It's not teleportation as we might think of it. He calls it the peeling of reality.
Peeling reality.
Yeah, like a zipper. That's the analogy he uses.
Okay, that's hard to picture. What does that involve?
Manipulating time and space, basically. But he does say there are certain restrictions, of course.
Right, not just anything goes.
And you need to learn how to do it. It's not automatic. The device itself is handheld.
A handheld reality peeler. Can anyone get one?
No, he's specific about that. It's provided when necessary, not something you can just, order up.
So controlled access. Does he say more about the restrictions?
Mm-hmm. Trips need to be permitted. And it depends on whether the frequency matches.
Frequency matches. Okay, that's abstract.
It is, and some places are apparently just closed off for reasons unknown to you in this moment in time. So, yeah, new travel, but still within some kind of framework.
This change in movement, it makes you wonder about, well, rules in general. If you can peel reality, what happens to, like, laws and regulations?
Good question. Navi, the participant, asks something similar. Tim's response is that the rules and regulations we know now will slowly diminish over time.
Diminish, so less external control.
Exactly. He says sufficiency becomes apparent after 2026. The focus really shifts to your own freedom, your own discussion.
People making their own decisions.
Yeah, the way it's meant to happen, as he puts it.
But what if you need help? If there are no rules, no structures like we know?
He addresses that. Assistance is available if needed. You just have to ask.
Ask who or what?
Anyone, anything, basically. He says there are many resources available. Nature, things outside nature, off-planet sources, even Source itself.
Wow.
There's no restrictions on asking for help, he claims.
Would sound incredibly open. The participant must have reacted to that.
Oh, yeah. Navi apparently says it feels too free. Hard to imagine because we're so stuck in the control mindset.
I get that. It's hard to picture a world without that external structure, even if it's limiting. Kim agrees. That's our perspective.
Yes, he acknowledges that's how it feels from where we are now, because control is so deeply ingrained.
Okay, so if societal structures diminish, what about physical ones?
Right.
Like big cities. The source mentions Manhattan skyscrapers.
Right. Navi asks about them. Tim says they'll still be there, but manipulated.
Manipulated. What does that mean?
Well, they won't be using the same materials like steel, metal, aluminum in the same way.
So rebuilt or changed.
Changed, it sounds like. Unless those materials become more attuned to light-based, he suggests structures might actually use light itself.
Buildings made of light? Or using light in a fundamental way?
Something like that. He says they'll have a different appearance. And he uses these really odd words. A different kind of hodices, a different ore.
Hodices? Or? Any idea what that means?
Honestly, no clear definition given. It seems like he's describing qualities we don't really have words for, tied to light instead of density.
Okay, and what's the purpose of these light-attuned buildings?
The inside space, he says, will be used for venation.
Venation, like veins, or?
Navi asks if it means healing or producing energies. Tim's answer is short. both.
Huh. So buildings become active spaces for healing and energy work.
Seems like it. He flat out says the principles of architecture will be different than you understanding now, which makes sense, right, if their function changes so drastically.
Absolutely. Okay, so rules diminish, travel changes, buildings are different.
Mm.
What do people actually do? What's daily life like?
This is maybe the most mind-bending part. Tim's answer to what do people do is simply to do as they wish.
To just whatever they feel like.
Pretty much, he emphasizes there's no restrictions, and then there's nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
And the kicker, no work.
No work. Wow. Again, that's hard to imagine from our current reality.
He knows. He acknowledges Navi's difficulty processing this, saying we feel we have to do something to be there, like we need a task or purpose tied to action.
Yeah, purpose equals doing for us. So how does anything get designed or made then, if no one's working?
Technology apparently provides a vision or a version of a design, like an idea or a template.
Okay, so tech helps with the what, but who builds it?
He says it will be entirely on us to make that happen.
Us, meaning individuals, or...
It's a bit unclear, but the implication is personal creation or manifestation. He also mentions input from extraterrestrials or greys.
Oh, how do they fit in?
He says they're always available and always has been, which probably means have always been available. They don't need to be physically present. They pick up on our thinking of our imagination process.
So inspiration or guidance from ETs is available telepathically.
Seems to be the idea. They contribute to the imaginative or design process.
Okay, let's try a practical example. Navi asks about getting something specific, like an antique typewriter. You know, like ordering online today.
Right, a very relatable question, and Tim's response here really highlights the disconnect.
How so?
He gets kind of confused. He asks about the time frame of the request. He seems puzzled by the request itself, muttering, not type photo.
Like he doesn't understand wanting an old physical object like that.
Exactly. And his ultimate point is that in that reality, priorities would shift. People might simply not want that want anymore. The desire itself might dissolve.
So our current consumer desires might just seem irrelevant, pointless.
That's the strong implication. It shows how different the consciousness could be, which leads to why his descriptions are so abstract.
Because we can't really grasp it?
Pretty much. He says it's not in your deal of understanding. It's hard to visualize because it's not in your awareness yet.
Makes sense. What good is a picture if you don't understand the context or the concepts behind it?
Right. You can't map it onto anything you currently know.
So how did the session wrap up?
Well, Navi, the participant, expresses gratitude, thanking Tim for sharing this information, even if abstract, to help gain some kind of understanding of this potential post-2026 reality.
Yeah, it definitely gives us a lot to chew on, this vision from Tim. It's radical. Diminishing rules, personal freedom, sufficiency as the norm.
And that reality-peeling travel, structures made of light used for venation, whatever that fully means.
And crucially, a life not defined by work or tasks, but by the freedom to just do as they wish, with help available just by asking.
It's a profound challenge to our current way of being.
Absolutely. So the final thought maybe is really consider this vision, a reality where our familiar structures, rules, work, even purpose as we define it, just dissolve.
Replaced by sufficiency, this radical freedom, light-based structures, and readily available assistance, how do we even begin to grapple with a future so different from our control mindset?
And maybe ask yourself, if you woke up tomorrow in a reality of absolute freedom and sufficiency with no external demands, what would you actually do?
1, you're coming through. 2, almost here. 3, who I'm speaking with.
I see that you're trying to locate me.
Can I have your name?
We've been introduced.
Can you tell me again?
10.
10? Tim. I see. I'm glad you came out. I was not sure if you can still use your device to do this.
Oh, the question is, why are you so fascinated with me?
Yeah, why not? Because you are the one who can give us a lot of details. And the way you describe it is very fascinating. So tell us more. What are you doing now?
Well, I have a handheld device, not the same device that you would travel to back and forth.
So this device is something that everyone can get, or you have to request?
Not everyone can get it, or can be requested, just provided when necessary. This one allows me to... that can't be right.
What?
I'm just getting distracted by something else that's happening right now.
So what made you decide to come to Naomi's office about 2 weeks ago?
Well, we will have a situation in the future that requires our input.
You mean you and me?
Yes.
But you are in a different timeline, but the one in 2025, so this version will meet with me eventually?
Consider it the nexus point is getting closer and closer. The versions of us that need to meet in its most appropriate time will happen.
And also, I already know your face. So when I see you, it's like, oh, hey, Tim, will be easier.
Won't be a stranger, yes.
So just tell us more. What are you doing in 2026?
Mainly preoccupied with my gadgets. I'm not really here to assist with others in their own journeys, but my own world is what I'm more happiest with.
I see. And so can you do teleportation? Or can others do that instead of taking any transportation?
Well, the way I would describe it is the peeling of reality, not really teleportation, but I like the word peeling of reality.
Meaning?
You're peeling, it's like a zipper, right?
So you just
close and open at will.
So you just do that. So the people at that time can manipulate time and space.
With certain restrictions, of course, yes.
And we don't have to learn.
The knowledge there is with you, what learning is needed.
And so if someone wants to go to Antarctica, and they could be there in no time, if their trip is permitted.
If the frequency matches, yes. Some places are not, or closed door for purposes unknown to you in this moment in time.
So again, we need to find out about, because we have been so used to being governed or being told what to do, what not to do. So there's no such a government or some authority that they're making regulations, restrictions. How can we know what is allowed?
The rules and regulations that your society operates will slowly diminish over time. Self-sufficiency would be what will be apparent in the years after 2026. It's on your own freedom, your own discretion.
So we don't have to
rely on anyone.
Right. Or we just make our
own decisions.
Right.
The way it's meant to happen, the way it's meant to be. If assistance is required, just ask for it and it will be.
Ask whom?
Any resources that are available. There's no restrictions to it.
So
it could be nature itself, it could be outside of nature, it could be outside the planet, it could be source itself. There's no restrictions.
We're too free. It's hard to imagine that we can just do anything.
To be in the control mindset makes you feel that way.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to...
There's no hope, that there's no way to breathe again.
So let's say, what will happen to those skyscrapers in Manhattan? They will still be there or will be replaced?
Manipulated.
Meaning, if people are not working in office buildings,
the very foundations of its structure will be manipulated to reflect light structures.
So can you be more specific? So those buildings are no longer there, or they're
serving... You won't use the same materials that you have used for decades. Well, you won't use the same materials that you have used for decades in your human history with your steel and your metal and your aluminum. Those materials will no longer be appropriate or valid, more attuned to light, the uses of light itself. So let's say it's still those skyscrapers, but they will have a different appearance. Yes. And will have a different kind of, space. A different kind of aura, you could say. And the space inside, what do we use those space for? Rejuvenation. Are you talking about, I don't know, healing? Or is it just to produce energies? Both. The principles of architecture will be different than you understand it now. I'm sure. I like you to be as specific as possible. So what people go there for? To do as they wish. There's no restrictions. There's nothing to do. No work in a way that you're thinking that you have to do something to be there. So you don't have to have a purpose? No. And that is really hard for us to imagine. You can see. So let's say, who will design those?
the extraterrestrials or the grays, it's very easy for us to do so. If we want a certain design, there will be technology.
They will provide their own version of it, their own vision of it, but it will be entirely on us to make that happen. They'll provide their input. When they've done it before, they have...
But I understand that. So you're talking about so they are always available?
Always has been.
So they don't have to be anywhere physically?
No.
But they know our requirements?
They will pick up on our thinking and our imagination process, yes.
It's the way you describe it's very abstract.
Like you said, can't really visualize it because it's not in your field of understanding. So what good would it do to give you that kind of picture? What good would it do?
It's we just try very hard to imagine.
That's the problem.
Because it's not in our awareness yet.
Yes.
And so let's say, again, we use Amazon right now to order things that we cannot buy in the store. So at that time, let's say if I want some specific, I don't know, antique typewriter. So how can I get that?
Which time frame are you talking about to request that typewriter?
I just want to have that as a decoration for my apartment, let's say. So how can we get those? How can we get delivery like the Amazon does right now? Yeah, I'm sure there's a way.
Just that request itself is not letting me give you understanding of your request is not typewriter. That's...
But people might like to have some antiques. It can be anything from 18th century.
Priorities would shift to not want that want.
All right, so maybe we can figure that out later. And so I thank you again for coming through and for giving us information that only in this way that we can get a more understandings of what is like after 2026. So I appreciate that, and I will speak with you soon again.